So this is a response to Flat Earth Arsehole, who's recently put up this video claiming to debunk the blue marble image taken by the Apollo 17 astronauts in December of 1972. He's done no such thing. His only thing he's managed to do is actually confirm just what a good image this is and just what a real image this is. So quickly having a look at what he claims, he shows this image and the information about it. Yes, it was taken on December the 7th, 1972 at this time. The fact that it's referred to as a disk is irrelevant. It's a 2D representation of a spherical object, so it's roughly circular. An important point to note is that it states that this is a slightly gibbous Earth, which means that there is a small portion of the Earth that's not illuminated by the sun. We're not seeing a complete hemisphere of the Earth here illuminated by the sun. We are seeing a small portion, a crescent shape, missing on this side. What's his main beef about the image? Well, he claims, going to timeanddate.com, that what we should see is everything that is in the pale, the light colored section here, everything that would be in daylight. So South America, or Russia, Europe, Australia, as well as Antarctica and Africa. And he's absolutely right. That's exactly what should be in the image, bearing in mind, of course, there's a slightly gibbous Earth and a portion down this side is actually missing, and that means that a portion on this side is actually hidden around the side beyond the edge of the Earth. I think the easiest way to demonstrate this is to look at the image in detail and then have a look on Google Earth, and then we'll come back to Flat Earth Arsehole's claims. So this is another blue marble image captured from the NASA website, I think. Doesn't really matter, it shows what we wanted to show. If we zoom in, we can see that here the left-hand portion of the image is quite a sharp interface between the illuminated Earth and the darkness of space, and that's because there's no area of Earth here which is not illuminated by the sun, and so we go from brightly illuminated to not to no Earth at all, and obviously have a nice sharp line there. On the other side of the Earth, and this is the terminator line, partially gibbous Earth, you can see very clearly the diffuse line, which indicates that there is a portion of the Earth there which is not illuminated by the sun and appears dark, and that the interface between the illuminated and not illuminated is not a sharp line as you might expect. As we see on the moon regularly every month. So now let's have a look on Google Earth. So everybody will be familiar with Google Earth, another computer program designed to generate two-dimensional image of the Earth that reflect as accurately as possible how the Earth appears in 3 dimensions if you were able to view it from space, as astronauts have been able to do, and space craft have been able to do, but not you or me. Most people don't ever get to see the Earth through their own eyes as it really appears as a 3-dimensional object. This is as close as we can get to it using computer modeling. So can we recreate the blue marble image using Google Earth? Well, if we do it, if we have a go at simply moving thing around to get pretty close to something like what the blue marble image is, we can make something like this fairly simply, not too difficult. And see Africa, Madagascar, Arabian Peninsula, there's the Indian subcontinent here, South America down here, Antarctica here, Australia, Southeast Asia, and so on. So pretty close. The important fact to notice here, though, is that as we change the altitude, the image becomes slightly different. So as I move in like this, the image, we see closer and closer up here. But more importantly, as you scroll away and scroll away and scroll away, more and more of the continent of Antarctica becomes visible, and more of the land masses and oceans around the edge of the circle become visible. Now, the eye altitude here is 32,000 kilometers, sorry, and the Apollo astronauts were actually at about 45,000 kilometers away from the Earth at the time that they took this image. And you can check that fact if you want. I did a little online search and discovered that that's the case. And so now, from the same position that we were in, you can see the whole of Antarctica. And in this image, the way we've got it set up here, we can scroll it around a little bit more, get it a bit more like the one that the Apollo astronauts took. We have an image where you see pretty much all of Antarctica, the whole of Africa. South America is here. Remember, there's a crescent to be shaved off here. We can see Australia, we can see some of the islands of Southeast Asia and mainland of Southeast Asia there, but they were in darkness at the time the image was taken. Only a small part of Australia would have been in sunlight, albeit I think it was late evening sunlight in the case of Australia in that image. So this is, I would suggest, this is as close as we can get to confirmation that the image captured by the Apollo 17 astronauts mimics exactly what would appear on a spherical Earth. Exactly what we would be able to see from 45,000 kilometers away from the Earth, looking at it in this direction with the sun illuminating from this side a partially or slightly gibbous view of the Earth. So returning to Flat Earth Arsehole's video, which conveniently has the time and date image in it, we can see that, as I said, most of Australia is in either partial darkness or complete darkness. Sunrise would be in this area here, or sunset at least on this occasion, and the missing the part of the left-hand portion, the westerly portion of the blue marble image, which we cannot see because the illuminated section is around the other side of the Earth, would contain the bulk of South America in daylight. The Russia and Europe, because they're near the top of the image, are very much compressed close together in the image. This is exactly as you might imagine, and I might be able to show that in a moment if I go back to Google Earth. So let's have a little look here. So Flat Earth Arsehole points out the times of various cities. So it was in the morning in Rio de Janeiro, so sometime after sunrise, but the sun's still low in the sky, which is exactly what we'd imagine if the sun is shining from here towards Rio, which would be somewhere in this area here. Perth is approaching early evening and sunset, and Perth would have been in the area just on the edge of the shot here. Helsinki up here somewhere. Again, it's around about midday, but it's midwinter, 7th of December. And so Helsinki and Moscow, the sun would be very low in the sky. I've been up here in the north of Sweden before, and at the very end of November, and the sun hardly gets any height above the horizon at all. It stays very, very low in the sky indeed. And that's exactly what you'd expect for them to be up here. So returning to Google Earth, if we stick a marker, let's park it somewhere, say about here, and let's add another one. Let's pop it in Helsinki. Just so we know which one's which, we can change the color. Okay, so we have a couple of markers. Let's scroll our way back out to it's a bit far. There we go. That'll do 44,900 kilometers. Yeah. So as we scroll this up here, we can see that the marker for Helsinki is still quite visible. So Helsinki is still on that illuminated part of the Earth, and the marker we've put in Greece is still here a little bit further in, and at some point, there we go, it's still there, and this is not too far away from the image that we actually saw from the Apollo astronauts. The southern, or the opposite coast here of Antarctica is just starting to come into view. So we've got pretty much the whole of Antarctica in shot, and we still have up in the north, Helsinki is still there. We can scroll a little bit further still, and still Helsinki is there. Remember that the sun is shining slightly from this side, so in fact, even when because it's past the actual it's to the left of the actual vertical north here, even when the little marker there, it's still there. Okay, even when that marker does finally, it's still there, disappear, we would still expect that Helsinki would be in daylight, albeit the sun very low in the sky and almost invisible. So this probably represents reasonably accurately the image that the Apollo 17 astronauts took. Australia here, South America here, remembering that it's a slightly gibbous Earth, so there's a crescent of sunlit Earth beyond here that we cannot see. And so in conclusion, what has Flat Earth Arsehole debunked? I think he's debunked himself. What he's done is he's shown that the image taken by the Apollo astronauts is exactly what we would expect if the Earth was a sphere, and if they were where they claim to have been at the time they claim to have been there, taking a photograph of the Earth. So thank you, Flat Earth Arsehole. You've just put a nail in the coffin of Flat Earth.